Welcome on back, everybody, to episode 122 of Stream with the Mouse, where today we are breaking down the second episode of Marvel Studios' Moon Knight, now on Disney+. Sit back, relax, this is Streaming with the Mouse. Welcome on back, everybody, to Stream with the Mouse. My name's Cam, and joining me, as always, is my co-pilot, my co-host, the Stephen Grant to my Mark Spector, or maybe the Mark Spector to my Stephen Grant. Cliff,
I think you're more. I know. I don't know if it's meant to be. Don't take it the wrong way, but I think you're more a Stephen than a Mark.
Oh, yes, I am. I don't take that the wrong way. I'm fine with that.
That is, yeah. I'm loving this show. I'll put that first and foremost. I'm very happy. We all know, as there's been over 100 episodes, when I am right on a show, I'm even more happy. And my weird, kind of far-fetched theory was correct. I was very surprised by that.
What that was?
The one where Mark is Moon Knight and Steven is Mr. Knight. I was very shocked. I'm like, you know what? They could totally dumb that down, and they did.
Yeah, we'll talk more about that for sure, because I know we're going to do another top 5 episode. Today we're talking about episode 2 of Moon Knight, a fantastic second episode titled, what is it? I'm sorry, you just said it. Get the Suit?
It is Summon the Suit.
Summon the Suit. God, I'm going to forget that. But Summon the Suit, an awesome episode. We'll talk about it, Cliff. I like that we get a lot more answers right now in the second episode, where I feel like these Marvel shows, we've been getting these like answers and stuff in the end of the show. I like we're figuring some stuff out right now early on to help set up the rest of the series, but I'm sure we'll talk about more of that. Before we talk about Moon Knight episode 2, Summon the Suit, Cliff, got any news?
We have one piece of news. It's more speculation, but I more so believe it than other stuff I've seen. Supposedly, we are going to see the first look at Andor during Star Wars Celebration.
That'd be awesome.
And it would make sense. Cool. It would make sense. Yeah. I'm trying to think of like what's coming that we'd have, and I think that's really the only thing. We might get a very brief first look at the Acolyte, because all the big panel of Star Wars Celebration this year is the authors of the High Republic, and we know that Acolyte is the waning days of the High Republic.
Yeah.
So there's options here, but that's it. That is it for news. We wasted it all. Well, it's because we had episodes so close together this time.
Yes, for sure. So Cliff, I don't know about you. I think I liked last week's format. I heard from a couple people that they liked it too. We're not doing beat by beat reviews of recaps, I guess, of this episode. We're just talking about our 5 favorite things from this episode. It's a nice, quick, dirty, easy episodes for you all to listen to, because we know there's a bunch out there to listen to. So, Cliff, if you want to start off with your number 5 favorite moment, thing, could be a song, could be an actor, whatever it is, favorite thing from this episode.
My number 5, and I'm going to start off on the beat of, this is more big than anything for what the show could be, and it's the not so black and whiteness of the show. We know, we see how much of a kook Arthur is. I'm going to talk about that more later personally. But the interesting thing, especially in regards to Khonshu, you can tell that Arthur has been hurt or been led astray by him. We know that Khonshu is not. He might be more good than evil, but he's manipulative. He's a bunch of things, and we have not yet met Amma. We can probably guess she's somewhat bad because she is, one of the gods of the underworld in Egyptian mythology. But Khonshu, in layman's terms, is kind of just a dick.
I kind of like that, Cliff. I think it's all needed. These gods could suck. There might not be a good or a bad god. They could all suck, and I like that.
Right, not everyone is Thor Odinson.
Right.
But I kind of like how it is maybe like a Mark blindly follows, probably because he doesn't want Layla to replace him. So he's just blindly following until he's done.
See, I don't know if I'd use the word blindly. I think he's intentionally following it exactly like you said, and we'll talk about it, because he doesn't want Layla to go through the same fate and torment that he's going through with Khonshu over his shoulder every 5 seconds.
I will say, though, Layla, her actress is great.
Yeah.
I would love to see her become Lady Knight. I don't even think that's a character, but that would be so cool, seeing like them fight side by side, like Moon Knight and Lady Knight. That would be so cool. But yeah, the The Confusion of the Gods is my number 5, and F. Murray Abraham really delivers it really well because Khonshu doesn't have a mouth. He's an animated, creepy, giant thing, but he is such a dick.
Yeah, for sure. My number 5 is Steven discovering his powers along with the rest of the audience. I think Moon Knight is as popular as he is. Like, he's a cult like icon for comic book superheroes. A lot of people don't really know about his superpowers and what he can and can't do, and like how Mark/Steven gets his strength from like Khonshu, basically. Kind of like Guardians of the Galaxy, where we're learning the Guardians style alongside them through their first 2 movies. We're learning alongside of what Moon Knight is all about in this show for people who haven't read the comic books. So my number 5 is just like Steven discovering his powers along with the rest of us too, where all of a sudden he gets knocked down at one point. He's in the Mr. Knight suit and he goes to like grab like the bumper of a car and he literally just smashes it. He's like, holy cow! And he's having fun where he's discovering like can like punch really hard and stuff when he's in. I hate saying in the suit because it's really the manifestation of Khonshu's powers in through him as the Avatar, not of the airbending tribe, but of the Marvel universe kind. But I like that we're discovering his powers along with him too, and it's like funny because Mark is so ingrained that he knows what Moon Knight is, so I think that's like the cult fans that loved Moon Knight since day one, and Steven is like the rest of. I mean, I've read a couple comics now just because of the series, but Steven's like the newbie of like trying to understand the character. So I like that dichotomy, especially bringing in new fans into this character's world.
Yeah, that's a good one, especially because like that's what I liked about the first episode. We only saw it from Steven's perspective because that's what the show is from.
Yeah.
We are seeing what Steven sees. He did not actually understand Mark or Moon Knight until he finally opened his mind to see him.
Yeah.
But that actually goes into my number 4, and it is the suits. We got a better look at the Moon Knight suit. We got the first look at the Mr. Knight suit. And Twitter hates character development. I don't know if you saw this one. People are like, oh my god, I can't believe the character assassination of Mr. Knight. And I'm like, he just became Mr. Knight. Steven just got this power of Mr. Knight. Don't you want to see someone that went from literally nothing, went from being kind of like a scared employee at a Egyptian museum to turning into what Mr. Knight is? I would say yes. You don't want these. Yes, you've read the comics. Yes, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. Character development is an important part of storytelling. If Steven, who's this bumbling idiot, as we see, just instantly is this like manipulative, like crazy, like suave Mr. Knight, that's completely against his character. The suit though looks great. I find it really funny because people are like, they tried so hard to not make him similar to Batman. They turned him into Deadpool, which I find absolutely funny. So the suits were great. That's my main thing. I was going on my little tirade there. But yeah, the suits are really good. People were complaining about the Moon Knight suit. They said the hood looks odd, but I'm like, I think it's fine. It's a magic suit anyway.
And I'll definitely have more about that on my list. So I'm gonna not ignore what you said, but just pass on and move on. Because I'll definitely have more to talk about with it. My number 4, I don't know, I would guess this is on yours maybe somehow, some way. But my number 4 is Steven and Arthur's conversation. I love, like I said, there's still a bunch of questions in this show, right? There's still a lot we don't really understand, and we're trying to understand, especially from Mark and Khonshu's like deal, what their perspective. We still have questions of that, but we got some answers today, especially like learning like who Arthur is. We learned he was a former avatar for Khonshu. We learn about like the judgment aspect he has with Amat and what his goal is to find that scarab. And Mark obviously is looking for that scarab too, and Steven doesn't understand why this is so important or why it's so important that Layla shouldn't know about the scarab either. So it was really cool, but I really like the conversation about judgment. It's actually something we talked about last week, where we talked about Arthur and his little crocodile, alligator, whatever, cane that passes judgment on people to kill people. I think that's such an interesting concept, especially I think it's a big hypothetical. Like if you could go back in time and kill like the world's worst human being, but you had to kill him as a baby, would you do it? Like it's a huge moral dilemma. that Arthur has no problem doing it because he thinks it's for the better part of it. Whereas Steven's like, again, you're kind of taking away free will. Like, who's to say, yeah, that could be a possibility that person becomes a terrible human being. But right now they're innocent, so you're judging people while they're still innocent before they were to do anything. So you got that weird balance there. Again, it's balance because you got the scales. But I like the moral dilemma, and I like that we have this conversation of two opposing foes now, as opposed to waiting to an episode, what is it, 6 or 7, for it to be announced that it was Agatha all along, or something like that. So I thought this was really great. Or even waiting till the last episode to show like the bad guy in like that Miss Minutes and the TVA is evil and whatnot in Loki. So I think it's cool we're getting these conversations now between these people, and it's cool that Arthur's character, who I'm not familiar with at all in the comics at all, but I think it's cool that, oh, this was a past Avatar, and that helps to add to the Avatar like mentality of Khonshu's just taking over these people's minds and bodies to have them become the Fist of Justice for under the name of Khonshu.
I know, I love Aang. I am going to talk about what you just talked about, but that's later on. That is sure. Later on. But you mentioned a good point, and that is what's the name? That is in Arthur Harrow. Ethan Hawke is incredible. I am loving his performance as this villain because he's crazy. Yeah. We now know, we have confirmation that he was Moon Knight. Probably. There are a few things that I think maybe he wasn't. Maybe he wasn't the Moon Knight. Maybe he was just one of his followers. Because he knew that, what's his name? He knew that Steven didn't really know about that yet. But we find out from Layla's point of view that she cannot see any of the Egyptian crap. She can't see the jackals, all this. But we know that Mark and Steven both can. And because Arthur is the same thing but for Ammit, he can see everything also. So he's probably just sitting there listening to Khonshu talk and just repeating it to Steven because Steven doesn't know that. Steven thinks anyone can see it. I think he's going to get wiser to it. So he might have just been mocking Khonshu while he was listening just to kind of deceive him. I like the concept of him being Moon Knight before Mark was. I do like that idea because that adds more to it, where he kind of fell down the wrong path because Khonshu might have only killed people after it was too late. And that's the whole thing with the free will thing. But Ethan Hawke is killing this role.
Yeah, for sure.
It's so hard because like Oscar Isaac, it's like it's hard to like match someone like Oscar Isaac. We know Jessica Chastain does it well. They have very incredible screen chemistry together. But Ethan Hawke is just matching him because this could have totally been a runaway where Oscar Isaac just kind of outperforms everyone. He still might be, but when Oscar and Ethan are acting together, it feels like two powerful actors butting heads in a good way. And that, to me, they really picked two people that you wouldn't really think they would be in the idea of Marvel, but obviously Moon Knight is not your typical Marvel show or movie, and they are just killing it. They're just doing exactly what you probably wanted and more.
Yeah, for sure. So was that your 3?
That was my 3, was talking about Ethan Hawke.
Awesome. So my number 3 is I love Layla as a character. We just met her. I already love her. Layla's played by May Callumway. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but May Callumway. Shout out, she went to Emerson College, so shout out Boston.
That's funny.
She's awesome in this. She's a really cool character. It's really interesting to see her play off of Oscar, especially where Steven has no idea who the heck this woman is, but like Mark is like, I'm trying to protect her. Like, that was my wife. Mark asked for a divorce at some point, so we're getting all this background of like who the heck Mark Spector is, and again, we are Steven in this. I almost said Stephen Strange. My God, we are.
No, that's in a month.
What was that?
That's in a month.
Yes, that's in a month. But it was very, very interesting to see, and I really liked her as a character. What I loved is my favorite scene is when with the jackal is trying to attack them. They have the doors closed when they're in Arthur's palace, or he calls it like a man cave or something like that. I thought it was funny, but like she finally accepts, like, okay, no, like you don't think you're Mark, you're Steven, and she actually says the word Steven, like to calm him down. And I thought that was a really nice moment of like acceptance kind of on her end, where she's like, okay, something's weird's happening. This poor guy actually doesn't. He's not. It's not a bit. He's not Mark pretending to be somebody else. Like he is, but this poor guy doesn't know what's happening in his brain right now. So I really thought that was interesting. And I liked her as a character, so I'm excited to see more of her.
Fun fact: May is actually from Egypt.
Yes, that's awesome.
She's from Bahrain, which is a little island, I believe, in between Qatar and Egypt, which is pretty cool. So that's your 3.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about all the actors today. I'm saving my 1 for it because this probably should be number 1, but I like having my finish that ends strong. Oscar Isaac. It's just kind of crazy to me how good of an actor he is. Because the first thing I personally was ever like open to with him was Poe Dameron, who great role, fun role, but not what this is, not what he's been in everything else. And holy crap, he just gets it. I think, which is like it really is an art when you see him perform because everything is different. Like yes, you see Oscar Isaac's face, but it's always his character. And the way he acts between Mark and Steven is incredible, especially when they have to act together. I wonder how they did that. I wonder if like they filmed one and then like they played the other so he could bounce off himself, but he's literally acting with himself for most of this show. And it's absolutely insane. And the little like fit that Mark throws at the end. I mean, we had our first ever Marvel F-bomb.
Yes.
That was big. I'm shocked they let it in. You get one. I think you get either one per show or one per series. I forget what it is. And it really is just, I don't even want there to be more personality just because of Mark and Steven together are so cool, but I think we're going to get more than that. And it really, like we talked about how Elizabeth Olsen deserved, or at least a nomination for Best Actress. But
No. We did not say she deserved nomination. She deserved the freaking award. Call it what it was.
But this so far, and I think it could definitely turn into that, Oscar Isaac's performance as Moon Knight is right now the best performance on a Marvel show. I'll change that. Best performance on a Disney Plus Marvel show. I have to go back and rewatch the Netflix ones, and has the potential to be the best acting wise of the MCU.
Oh, I think it's up there. I absolutely.
And this is only 2 episodes in.
Yeah,
we have barely seen Moon Knight.
I'm gonna skip my 2 for now.
Okay,
and I'm gonna do my 1 just because like this. I know I skipped one earlier because I was like, whatever, I'll like get to it later. I like to just continue this conversation. My number 1 is Oscar versus Oscar. That's
a good way
fantastic.
To put it.
Like he's so good. I love the use of the glass in the mirrors to do that reflection. Robbie Fox from Barstool said it best, and like I picked up on this too, but he's the one that tweeted out. I was like, oh, he stole my idea. But like you can actually tell who is who, which Oscar is Oscar, without him even saying anything. The eyes, the intensity in his face, you can point out in a lineup 20 out of 20 times. That's Mark, that's Steven. That's Steven, that's Mark, that's Mark, that's Mark, that's Steven, that's Steven. You can tell every single time. And that's a sign of a good actor. You don't need his voice of the English versus, the England voice versus, or accent versus the more American accent. You don't need that. You can literally just tell it by his posture, the way he looks. He looks just not mean and brooding, but like he looks more concerned as Mark of like, I should need to get this under control.
He kind of looks like a sociopath. He kind of has the sociopath look.
Yeah, and it's awesome. Like, and I do think, I know I probably overuse this a lot. Like, give Olsen her Emmy. Give Oscar Isaac his Emmy. This is fantastic, fantastic work. It is absolutely becoming one of my favorite Marvel Cinematic Universe performances by any actor or actresses. It's easily up there. And like you said, Cliff, this is 2 episodes in. We're a third of the way through, and this is already up there for me. And obviously, it could falter at the end, but I don't think it's going to, based off how this is going. So I just can't get enough of this. Seeing dual personalities in the split. Cliff, you did say you hope you don't get any more personalities.
No, I would be fine if I do. I'm just loving the dynamic between these two.
A lot of people want Jake, the cab driver. A lot of people want that one to be a thing. So I hope.
Okay, I will amend my statement. I will be fine with Jake. I will be fine with Jake, the cab driver.
I am actually really liking yes, I want to see Moon Knight more, 100%. I'm loving what we're getting between Mark Spector, and Steven. I guess I want to see the costume more. I want to see that, but like I'm loving anytime these two in the scene. That scene outside that, I don't know, that churchyard. I don't know what you'd call it, when he Mark just has control of the body and just smashes through that glass, like you were mentioning. That was just awesome. That was one of the best acted scenes I think in MCU history, because of that raw rage that was in it. It was really great. Are you gonna go? So you have your number one, and I have my number two left, basically.
I do. Well, the that could have been my number one also. It's all interchangeable.
We'll save number two for last.
Mine, and I talked about this last week, but it was explained even better today, and it's the discussion of morality, of good versus evil, and when is something good and when is something evil. I meant to say it earlier, but you missed the chance when you were talking about if you could go back in time and kill someone as a baby. You could have totally done the, can't we just go back to baby Thanos and just, snap its neck? Like what, what's his name says, Rhodey says in Infinity War or Endgame. You could have done the Thanos joke.
Yeah.
But it's such, I mean, I personally think it's a very easy question to answer, but it's such a good ethical dilemma for some people, where if you could stop something bad from happening before it happened, would you do it? And we're seeing, and this was the time, and we're starting to see Steven has more of a backbone than he lets on. When Steven cared, he was fighting back against Arthur for saying no, it's not the right thing to do. And it's going to be really interesting to see this morality between Mark and Steven, because Steven is very much like, no, you don't do this before it happens. But it's really cool to see a more fleshed out version of the Winter Soldier. We're really seeing it, like Winter Soldier, yes, that was more of a subplot. That was like Steve putting his feet in the ground saying, everyone is my enemy that agrees with this. But we are seeing it here where it's like we're literally acting on the gods. We're acting on a god's will to dish this out. And this is like, yes, it's about Mark and it's about them and it's about Moon Knight and Khonshu versus Amit. But we're actually seeing like, this is how these beings that have control over the world are working, and they are fighting each other for how to dish it out. And we're really seeing this moral debate over an extended amount of time. It's been pulled on more and more, and we got to see Arthur's view of it, which to me sounded like a crazy man. But some people would want to stop it before it happens.
Yeah.
That is my 2/1.
That's a good point, Cliff. My number two, that I'm doing as my last one because I had to get to the Oscar versus Oscar, is I get where you're coming from, Cliff, with like the discourse about the Mr. Knight versus Moon Knight.
I love it. Don't get me wrong. I love it. I'm just saying what I saw.
If I was a bigger Moon Knight fan, I would probably be on those people's sides, though, because
yes,
Mr. Knight is one of the personalities. However, as just somebody who's read some of the comics, who's becoming a fan of Moon Knight, it just doesn't affect me as much as if it was like Miss Marvel not having her ambiguous powers. That bothers me more than this. But I thought it was a funny thing the way they did it, where it's like, okay, there's not four personalities right now. There's really just two. It's Mark, who embodies the power of Khonshu through Moon Knight, and then Steven, who, when he hears suit, he doesn't think of it's so cute and funny, kind of like he doesn't think, oh, superhero suit, like, oh no, like a nice suit with these like sticks that are really funny. Like, I thought that was very funny, so I thought it was great. Again, not as the world's biggest diehard Moon Knight fan, but if I was, I could see why people would be like, oh, come on, like, you don't have to keep everything comic book accurate, but like, it would have been cool to explore 4 different like versions of a character, 4 personalities. But then again, I also see like, hey, this is only 6 episodes. There's only so much you can do. So I see both sides of it. But I thought it was one of the funniest laugh out loud moments, especially in that intense scene of like, he hears suit, we think superhero suit, and this guy thinks like, oh, nice all white suit, and that's how he manifests the power of Khonshu, the moon god. It was just very funny. So,
and I wanna piggyback on yours for a second. And you bring up a very good point with like, it would be cool to explore all 4. There's a very different thing though in in the transition from storytelling on pages to the screen. And it's very hard if you had him as 4 people. Like you said, the best way to describe it is you could tell when Steven was there and when Mark was there. If you added Moon Knight and Mr. Knight, I think it would, for casual goers, it would confuse them a little bit more. And it's the whole thing where it's like, would we, as fans of the Harry Potter series, love to see everything from the book in there?
Yeah.
Absolutely. But it would be a 24-hour movie.
It would be this.
It's not a bad thing. And there's only 6 episodes, and there's no confirmation on a season 2. The best example I could say of like a perfect 1-to-1 translation was a series of unfortunate events on Netflix by Neil Patrick Harris. That is like the best 1-to-1 adaptation. Comic wise, there's so much, and they don't want to overlap with things, and they do want to make it a little bit easy for certain people to understand. Sure. And that is fine. I kind of like the idea of alternate personalities with their own superheroes. I agree with you also. If I was a big Moon Knight fan, I don't know if I'd feel upset, but I would feel slightly cheated from it. But I think what they are doing is very cool, and for what it already is very groundbreaking for this specific area.
And this might sound cheap, but at the end of the day, just put some headcanon into it. This is a different universe. The comic books are a different universe. That 616 is a different MCU universe. It's fine. Like
616
could be a personality in the comic books. But
we might see 616. We might see 616 in Doctor Strange. You never know. Maybe. There is the rumor that there's a comic book run through.
Cliff, before we go for today and tell people where to find us, did you see any fun Easter eggs in this? Because I saw one.
I saw an editing mistake
on this one.
That was funny. People were mad for no reason. They accidentally pulled when Steven is in the learning about Mark and Khonshu's in the hallway with him. He screams. It pauses for 3 seconds and then it shows him running out. They paused it accidentally. I just read Disney Plus fixed the editing mistake, which is really funny. People were getting so upset for something small. Get over yourselves. When he was in the storage room? Yeah. He yelled.
I thought that was an artistic choice.
That's what people were saying. It was a mistake because Disney Plus has fixed it. I know I did not see any. I know there was one, but I didn't actually read what it was. It was something with a callback to another comic. That's all I know.
So I didn't even see that, but they're on the double-decker bus in the big flight scene. There was an advertisement for the GRC, the Global Reparation Council, which was obviously introduced in Falcon Winter Soldier. So it's okay, it's still there. That's cool. Cool to see.
That is funny.
But Cliff, that's our episode. Where can people find you if they want to talk Moon Knight with you? Obi-Wan's coming out. Anything Disney Plus they want to talk to you about? / opening day, because the Red Sox play tomorrow against the Yankees.
Go Sox,
if you're listening to this on release day, go Red Sox. Screw the Yankees.
There you go. Go Sox.
But if you're a Yankees fan, keep listening to the podcast.
Am I doing everything? Am I getting all of our places as well?
No, just yours. I got
just mine. Just mine. You can find me at CP Robinson 81.
And you can find me at Cam Ramos 95. You can find the podcast on Twitter at Stream the Mouse. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Streaming with the Mouse. You can find us on our website, cprob.com/streamthemouse. You can also find us or listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and our YouTube channel. Just search for Streaming with the Mouse podcast, and you'll be able to find us there. Be sure to rate, review, 5 stars, subscribe, all the above, so that way we can get more ears onto this podcast. Until next week, we will be taking a little bit of break. Then we'll get back next week with a recap / top 5 list for episode 3 of Moon Knight. Very excited to talk about it with you, Cliff. And thanks everybody for listening. Have a magical day.
Bye, guys.